to thank everybody for coming here tonight, but I also want to just say thank you so much to Ms. Mukerji for sharing her insights as a teacher in the RVA, as well as a home mentor, seeing both sides of the coin. So take it away, Laura, and thank you for being here.
All right, let's go ahead then and get started. So while you guys are working on that, I'll tell you a little bit just about me so that, I always like to know a little bit about the people who I'm listening to. So I grew up in Tonganoxie, Kansas. I'd say that 3 times fast. And I went to Emporia State University, also in Kansas. And I taught grades 9 through 12 for a couple of years. Also, while I was there in Leavenworth, Kansas, which you might have heard of because it was made really famous in a Johnny Cash song about Leavenworth. But maybe if you didn't, that's okay too. After I taught for a couple of years there, we moved to Michigan. There, I quit teaching for a couple of years. I had 2 of my kids really close together. So I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple of years. After that, we moved to Wisconsin. I live in Croninwetter, Wisconsin, which is in the Wausau area. And in 2014 is when I became a home mentor with the RVA. I have used almost, I think, every single RVA curriculum that the RVA offers. I've used Little Lincoln. I have used Bookshark. I have used Moving Beyond the Page. I used Calvert back when RVA had Calvert. I think I've just used everything. And then in 2016, I began teaching 8th grade live classes. So I've been doing live teaching since 2016, and I still also homeschool in the RVA. So I'm both an RVA home mentor and I teach RVA online as well. I can, yes, absolutely. I've got 3 girls, ages 10, 8, and 4. You can see them there. This is my husband. Things I love to do. I love to spend time with my family, read, cook. I'm really big into houseplants. I have a lot of them. My husband says our house is turning into a jungle. I love the Avett Brothers, Queen, the Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel. So I like to listen to music and water my plants. That's like my main activity. So a little bit about me. And then just to talk a little bit about tonight, I want to find out a little bit about you. I'm going to go over some tips for success. I'm going to talk a little bit about Box Day, what that is and what that means, ideas for organizing the curriculum. I'm going to talk a little bit about yearly goals. And then we're going to also talk a little bit more beyond the box, things like motivation, some fun ideas, things that I found are really helpful or that I've seen like online forums or shared in the RVA family page on Facebook that have been really good ideas. So I kind of put all of those together to give you guys some ideas for maybe on those tough days where homeschooling is a little bit hard. And then at the end, we are going to go over an idea share and or questions. I'm going to paste this link in here. I'd like for you guys to maybe keep this open. It looks like this idea share and questions. As I go through the talk, if you have any questions that maybe I didn't mention or I didn't have a chance to get to, go ahead and fill them out on the question side. And I'll make sure at the end to just go right down the list. I'll go through any questions so that I don't miss any. I know sometimes with the chat, it can be kind of hard, especially with so many people. It can go kind of fast, so I don't want to miss anything. So if you do have any questions that I don't go over, feel free as I'm going through the presentation to put them in this document. And if you're not a first-year family and you've got some great ideas, or maybe you are a first-year family, but you just had a really great idea, feel free to go ahead and share them there. I think, how many of us are there? What, 30? Is it 30? However many there are, 30 heads are better than one. So maybe there's something that I didn't think of that you guys know of. That's a really great idea. Let's share those. I mean, we're all in this together. So it's great for us to share our ideas. So again, as I'm going through the presentation, maybe refer back to this document, put any questions, put some ideas that you've had that have been really great. And we'll reference this at the end. We'll go through this to make sure that we hit on some of those really great ideas. Okay. Any questions about anything that I'm going to talk about or anything I've said so far? I saw there was one question about Little Lincoln earlier. I will talk, everything that I'm going to talk about is going to talk about Little Lincoln. So definitely stay for that. Any others? All right. And just to say, I know where you guys are at right now. I know that this is like a stressful moment in all of our lives, right? We've either just gotten our curriculum or it's going to be arriving soon. Your house is probably a mess because you have what, I don't know, 3, 4 huge boxes and you unpack them all and then you have to find a place to put them. And then the kids start going through them because they get excited and then it makes a mess of your living room, right? I know that. You've got a whole year worth of lessons. You're probably finishing up the summer. You've got all the stuff you want to do. Some of you might be feeling a little overwhelmed teaching subjects that you haven't taught since maybe you were in those grades a long time ago in elementary school or middle school. And then you've got all of the orientations for RVA, meeting with your teachers, filling things out and getting your kids ready on top of it. I know that it's a lot of work, but the real thing that I'd like for you to take away from this is if you put the time in now to kind of plan out your year, get everything organized, I promise you that your year is going to be a lot more successful for both you and for your students. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, how many of you, I was going to do a get to know you. Yes, some of them, I see the Mouse family, I hope I said that right. Some of them can be very overwhelming. Logic of English is actually one I haven't worked with, but I'm sure that we can get you figured out. How many of you are in the RVA for the first time this year? And maybe by show of hands if you've got your camera on, otherwise just maybe say yes in the chat. So quite a few. I see, let me scroll to the second page. I can see some hands over there. First year. Well, let me just welcome all of you to the RVA. I think you guys made a great educational decision for your family. The RVA is a really, really special place. I really think. So welcome for those of you who are in the first year. If you're not in the first year, welcome back. What curriculum are you guys using this year? What's your main one? Maybe like Bookshark, Moving Beyond the Page. Let's see, I see the Joseph family. It's your second year. I see some Booksharks, Moving Beyond the Page, Lincoln. Bookshark. Sorry, let me scroll through here. You're leaning towards Moving Beyond the Page. Jeannie, that's a good one. Oh, Saxon for math must be. Angie, you're doing a mixture of live and Bookshark. Good. Okay. Little Lincoln. And, oh, now I see where. Perfect. All right. I'm glad to hear that. And how many of you have your curriculum? Maybe just by another show of hands. How many of it has arrived? You've gotten the box. Okay, awesome. Perfect. If it hasn't, have no fear. It'll come. Lots of books. Yes, it sure is. For half the kids. Okay. Oh, so you've got more coming. Wonderful. Okay. That's good. That'll help me just know and kind of aim our conversation on what's going on. Oh, handwriting wasn't there. Okay, so that'll be coming. Good. So I'll make sure that I kind of try to touch on what everyone's doing. Third grade. Perfect. My kids, just as if you're wondering, are doing, my oldest is going to do RVA online for math, and then we do Moving Beyond the Page with Math UC for this year. But like I said, this is, I think, the first year that we have not changed our curriculum because we changed for a long time up until there. So, okay, big questions. I know that you guys probably have a lot of big questions. One that I've touched on, I can, Angie, for sure. One that has been touched on, I've seen in groups and things like that, are what are some habits that make a successful school at home, right? Because we're at home, but we're also doing school at home. So I have a few tips here. The first one is a daily schedule, especially for those younger kids. Having that schedule and that routine really helps to have consistency in your day. It's going to give a lot of structure. It helps a lot with student focus and also with some behavior issues. So having that schedule where, you've got a general time, where you're going to start school, you hope to end it by a certain time, and, the days that you're going to do it, those things, you guys all know, I'm sure, whenever your kids have a regular bedtime and those sorts of things, and you follow a schedule, life just seems to go better. It's the same with homeschool, right? Know that the same schedule will not work for everyone. The schedule may change as your children change, and that's definitely okay. I think our schedule has changed every single year that we've homeschooled. My kids have different needs. We have different activities. Since I teach in the RVA, I teach at different times. So there's always something different, especially when my younger kids were getting older, or, but they were still young. Those were challenging. So every year our schedule has changed. Totally fine. Sorry, I'm just reading a comment here. Only receive normal notebooks. Okay, that should be no problem to the Delzert family. I hope I'm saying that right. I think it'll depend on what your curriculum's doing for which ones you use, but it shouldn't really matter which paper you use. I hope I'm saying that right. But you might want to check in with your teacher because they might know a little bit more about what was ordered for your paper, for your family. So some things to consider about a schedule. Think about what time you're going to start school, maybe what order you would like to do different subjects in. I know that my oldest needs to do her math right away. She struggles with it and it's her hardest subject. And so our lives go better once it's over. So we can just do it and get it done. With my middle daughter, it doesn't seem to matter as much. So maybe think about, your students and your learners and what might be a good schedule for them. And also don't forget to schedule breaks in during the day. I have my kids, sometimes I can tell that they're just really overwhelmed, and I'll be like, okay, just run down to our fireplace and back. And they'll just like run across our living room a couple of times, and then they'll come back and we can totally get that math problem where we can totally write that paragraph. So don't forget to give breaks. I know for us, for parents, it can be really good to just be like, no, let's just get it done. Let's get it done. But for kids, don't forget that sometimes they do need those breaks. And one of the bonuses of the RVA is the flexible schedule, right? No need to be rigid. It doesn't have to look like brick and mortar school. It doesn't have to look like you do math from 9:35 to 10:03. You can do it, however works for your family and whatever's best for you. Some more habits to consider is getting up and dressed before school. I put this in there because for my kids, that's a big one. I know some families do pajamas, like school in their pajamas, and that's great if it works for your family. For my kids, it does not. If they're not like dressed and they haven't brushed their teeth, they cannot write a paragraph or they can't do a math problem. I don't know what it is, but they can't. So I put that one in there because that was a big one for our family that I had to learn is like, nope, you've got to get up and get dressed, get ready for school. Also scheduling time for a healthy breakfast or a lunch. I put this meme in there. This is another thing that I learned is that if I don't have my kids eat a big enough breakfast, that our breakfast lasts the whole morning, right? We have first breakfast and then we have second breakfast and then we have a snack and then we have a pre-lunch snack and then we have our lunch. So I need to make sure that my kids get enough food that they can concentrate through the bulk of their schoolwork. That's a really big one for us. And then of course, getting outside, even in the winter, sometimes I make my kids just go outside because, it's good for them. Everyone needs it. Yes, go noodle, Kids Pop. Feed the chickens, I love that. My kids don't have to feed chickens. But I'd love it if they did because I'd get them outside. Yes, constantly hungry. And chores, oh, for sure. I have a hard time getting my kids to do that before, so I always try to put it in after, but that's a good one too. Another big question that I'd like to talk about is, do I need a classroom, right? Do you have to have like a room in your house dedicated to homeschooling? And the answer is absolutely not. Do school whatever works for you and your family. The couch. I stole this. This was on one of the families, the homeschooling page that they use, this little like armoire where they put all their stuff. And then they do schooling all around the living room or in their bedrooms. It can be a corner. Here's a living room, like kids being active outside. You can definitely do school outside when it's warm. At the kitchen table for sure. Oh, I love that movable kids table with the tray. That's cool. And then I put a picture. Here's what my school area looks like. We converted our extra dining room into a schoolroom. But it definitely doesn't have to be a room. I just thought you might like to see mine because I don't know, we like to see what other people do. So some more tips for success about specifically the learning environment. A command central is really important, right? This is where your homeschool is going to be. So maybe it's just a tub with your things. It could be a schoolroom. It could be a bookshelf. Just anywhere where you've got all of your materials that you're going to need. Another thing is to have a place where your kids want to be, right? So, an engaging space, maybe a kitchen table or a counter or a desk or a couch, doesn't really matter, but somewhere that they're going to be. And it needs to be a quiet-ish place, right? They're going to need to focus and concentrate and have minimal distractions because that just will make everyone's life easier when they're not so distracted. And then also remember, it's important to keep this space tidy. A lot of these curriculum, you're going to have to need some, you're going to have some space. You're going to have workbooks, notebooks and things like that. So you're going to have to spread out a little bit. So make sure you've got, the appropriate amount of space to spread everything out. Some other ideas I just threw in there, bright colors. You could see mine was not bright, it's gray, but bright colors are always fun. Child-sized desk. I play some music in the background, some piano music. And things like maybe essential oils or candles, that's always nice. Everyone likes to smell good candles. If you're not organizing, you'll be agonizing. I love that. That's great. Ashley, yes, I do have some tips with little ones. Those are in future slides, so I'll share that for sure. And I'm going to talk about the rolling carts, Joseph family. All right. Big question. What are some common challenges that I can be aware of and look out for before the year even begins? So our year is going to begin. What are some things that maybe people struggle with that you can know what's going to preemptively try to avoid some of these things or just be aware of them? Oh, I love that, Angie. I didn't add that. I should have added that in there. Headsets are a must for multiple kiddos in the same room. I am going to copy that, Angie, and I'm going to put that in our idea share. Oh, someone's already there. Look, I love that. Rewards for motive. Oh, I love that. That's a great idea. Okay, so one common challenge that I've seen is overscheduling. It seems kind of easy, right? We're at home, so maybe we can do more activities, right? But no, it leads to burnout. Trust me. Too many activities. So some tips, maybe narrow down to the essential activities and then spread them out maybe even over a couple of years. So maybe your kid wants to do karate and swimming and, all these other things, but maybe not pack so much into a week because that can be challenging. And remember that downtime is really important for both you and your kids. Everybody needs that time to just kind of calm down and relax and not be go, 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 go. So that's one common challenge that some people face is overscheduling. Another one is being the parent and being the teacher. It can be really hard to be a home mentor and a parent, and it's a delicate balance, right? You've got behavior issues and, you've got other stuff going on. So here are some tips for that. The biggest one and the main one is be sure to set clear expectations for school time. When we are sitting down for school, this is how we're going to behave. This is how we're going to act. Here are my expectations of you. And here's what you can expect from me, right? So your kids know what to expect. And also they know what to expect from you and they know what you want from them. Right? So clear expectations are super important. Another really hard one is juggling, right? There's so much to do. And then when you're at home, it can seem like you've just, maybe you want to take a break from math because you got to go change the laundry over, or you want to throw the dishes in the dishwasher. I feel like all these things always come up and I'm like, oh, I should be doing this or that. And some tips for that, right? It's always when you're in the middle of a math lesson, at least for us. Make chores and meal planning a part of your homeschooling routine. I started having my kids work on doing lunch. So like each kid will be responsible for doing lunch. So that takes that off my plate. Older children, of course, can do chores. Younger children can do some chores as well. And that might be a good way. There was one question about younger kids and keeping them entertained. Well, younger kids love to help, right? So let them help, let them do the things that they can. So try to get everybody in the whole family helping as much as possible. Remember that it doesn't all need to fall on you as the home mentor, that, you know, your whole family is in this together and you're all schooling together. So everyone, of course, can help out with everything too. Here's the one about younger siblings. So having babies and toddlers, I totally understand. My youngest is 4. She's just starting kindergarten. She's going to be 5 here in just a couple of days. But I know how that is. It's hard, right? Some tips. Schedule some of the more difficult subjects during nap time. We used to do math first thing in the morning, and then we would do our reading or language arts when I had put my daughter down for a nap. That way it was sort of spread out. And then if there were a lot of interruptions, you know, it was during something that maybe wasn't quite as big of a deal, or it was easier to stop and start. Busy boxes are another really great idea. I created like 3 or 4 like little hands-on sensory things for my daughter, and I'd put her in her high chair and I'd park her and I'd put one in, and I'd give her like the same one for like a week, and then I would change it out the next week. So then she'd have a brand new one for the next one. And then, you know, every week she'd have what seems like, you know, a brand new box of things to do. But, you know, of course, blocks, Play-Dohs, crayons, all of those are good, right? And some of the activities in your curriculum boxes are going to be really good for the whole family to do. There's going to be craft projects. There's going to be some presentations. There's going to be some like plays and reenactments and things like that. Those things would be really great to have the older kids include those younger kids in on. So not only are the younger kids entertained, but they're also learning and participating in that learning process. Yes, they do, Angie. Yep, they love worksheets, right? I used to give my youngest one worksheets, which was really just like random pieces of paper that I had from the printer. You know, we always have those extra printer pieces, and that would be her worksheet, and she would color them very diligently because she wanted to be like her, you know, her big sisters, right? Great tip, Angie. Also, you can modify some of the activities, and we'll talk a little bit about that in some other slides. But, you know, just really make sure to make the learning environment one where you can really include those littles. They want to be included, and, you know, it's good for them too. So try to do that as much as you can. And also educational activities to help entertain the young siblings. And you know what? Sometimes you just need to take a break and change the baby, or sometimes you need to take a break and do that. And sometimes it's good for older kids to learn that they need to, you know, entertain the younger one for 10 minutes while you work on a math lesson, you know, with a different sibling or something like that. So, you know, remember that, you know, learning experiences come in all shapes and forms, and sometimes those come in helping out with the family too. All right, so we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk specifically about the curriculum box. So your box has come, right? And you probably like dragged it into your living room. And now what do? You have to open this thing, right? And then there's all this stuff. What do you do with it? One kind of fun thing to do, what we do in our family is we call it Box Day, where we celebrate the day that our boxes come. The kids get really excited, and we take everything out and we put it in a spot for each kid, and they get to look through their books and their workbooks, and they get really excited. I take pictures. This is actually my youngest on her Box Day when it came just a few weeks ago. She's doing Moving Beyond the Page pre-K. So this is her pre-K Box Day picture, but it's really fun. We make a whole day of it where we take everything out, and then of course I have to organize it. That comes later, but we take it all out and we look at it and we're so excited and we take pictures, but we really make it a special day where, you know, the kids kind of start to mentally get prepared for learning and getting in that headspace that they're going to be doing school soon. They get excited about it. And then of course I have to get everything out. I'm going to be doing it anyway, so it might as well make it a fun family activity. Here are the basics in the box. So no matter what curriculum you are doing, you will get these items. You'll get books. This will include the novels that the students will be reading. It will include teacher's guides, instructor guides, depending on what curriculum you're using. That may or may not have a daily or weekly suggested lesson plan. It depends on which one you're using for that. You're going to have workbooks. Those will be the books that the students will be working in. That's the ones that they'll write in and complete their work. You're going to have science kits. Those are going to be the boxes that have manipulatives. That's going to be all their stuff that they need to complete their science experiments. So if you're Book Shark, I think it's one box that you get that has all of their materials. If you're doing Moving Beyond the Page, I think you get like one box for each of the units. It's possible. Is it Callie? Are you Callie? I don't know if you're the Joseph family, if you're Callie. If Callie might be your kid. It's possible. You might want to double check. One of the things that I'm going to mention that I'd like for you guys to do once you open your boxes is to look at that order form to make sure you got everything. Okay, so it's possible that there could be more coming. Yeah. And it also depends, like I said, on your curriculum, but definitely for Book Shark or Moving Beyond the Page, you will have these materials. You're also going to have student books. That's going to be novels, the text that they're going to be using. And then you're also going to have a paper that's going to include online information like websites, login information, and things like that. Sometimes there's an online component. So Moving Beyond the Page will have the online spelling. Book Shark, I think that there's like an online access to the instructor guides. So you'll have some online information too. So make sure you keep those papers because that'll have that information in it. So now you've taken it all out and it's all over your living room. What do you do with it? Okay, so a couple of ideas. One idea that I've seen people do is to have colored labels for each kid. So like, you've got one kid who's blue. So you'll like label everything with blue. Because when you have multiple children, right, how do you keep straight whose books are what? I think the live math classes, those are still not out yet. I know my daughter is in a live math class and she does not have her stuff either. So don't worry, it'll all come. I promise you everything will be coming. And if it doesn't, once you double check everything that you should have on your order form, make sure you contact your teacher so we can get those ordered. So back to this, definitely labels are really great. Especially if you have multiple children, it's easier to kind of visually grab what you need or see who's got what. Another idea is the designated spot, right? Maybe you've got one shelf on your bookshelf and this is where you put all your stuff, a file cabinet. I've seen people who organize it by like months or sometimes by weeks. But the important thing is to give everything a home, right? So you don't lose it. It's a lot of stuff and you're going to need it all at some point. So it's important that you've got it in a safe spot. Yes, thank you. That's great advice. The that's a mouthful. Wolful family. I hope I'm saying that right. Another thing that I've seen that I saw mentioned even in here is the rolling cart. I actually have, I don't know if you can see it behind me. I have one right here, a little teal cart. And I've got one downstairs that I also use. But basically you can move it around. That's pretty awesome, right? So you can do school anywhere you want in your house. But a con of it is that I have not been able to fit everything that comes on it. You probably still need a bookshelf. So just kind of a heads up, if you were planning on doing that, you might also need additional space. Another idea, this is what actually I do specifically for Moving Beyond the Page. So if you're a Moving Beyond the Page family, I do one concept for each kid. So I've got 12 of these little file folders. And then every single kid's concept 1 goes in one folder, concept 2 goes in another, and then I can just grab it, like the whole thing, and then distribute it to all the kids. And they come. I see some great ideas about rolling carts and things in the chat, so make sure to check it out. It's an awesome community. Another idea that I've seen is a basket. So you've got like one basket for each kid, right? And maybe one basket for yourself as well. And you can hand your kid your basket and you say, here you go. Here's your work for the day. That's a really good idea. I stole these from Tom Drenthi. Is he here today? Tom Drenthi, are you here today? He posted this in the RVA family page, and I asked him if I could take it. And he said, yes, here's what he does for moving beyond the page. He says that he makes a bundle for each concept. And then at the beginning of the concept, he'll give his daughter the bundle. And then it's like opening a Christmas present for her. She gets to open it up and then see, what she'll be doing for the next couple of months. So that's what he does for moving beyond the page. And then he also shared what he does for Bookshark. He separates them into groups: reading with history, language arts, and science. And then he uses different colored tabs to know what goes along with each one. So I stole these from him. I got his permission, but I thought those were pretty cool organizational ideas too. So Bookshark families, that might be something that might interest you. Another thing to think about organizing is a binder or some sort of filing system for the home mentor. So for you and all of your stuff. Things that you might want to include in this binder would be something like a mission statement. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. Some monthly calendars or, your schedule plans that you've got for each kid, the things that you want to do that year. Parent resources and passwords. Don't we all have like 15 accounts with different passwords for everything? So it's a great place to keep all of that. All of the lessons that you plan on doing, and then any extra resources that you might have, places that you want to visit or things you want to do, field trips, things like that. If you're going to be mailing things into your teacher and you've got the RVA envelopes, all of that stuff would be great to just keep in one binder so it's all in one spot. Great question. How do you find out your teacher? You should be finding out here pretty soon, I would say, in the next couple of weeks for sure. I use a backpack for everything we're going to use for 2 weeks. At the end of 2 weeks, I put in new book worksheets and the things we're not going through goes in a cabinet. I love that. Ashley, that's a great idea. It's kind of like the basket idea, right? Everybody's stuff here in one thing, and then you can just hand them their backpack and there they go. Good. I hope I'm not missing any questions. I think I got everyone. Awesome, community. Okay. Another big question. After you organize all of your stuff, how do you plan what days you're going to do school, right? So now you've got all your stuff, you've organized it. What are you going to do? Like, when are you going to tell your kids you're going to start school? You've got two options in the RVA. One, you can follow the suggested RVA pacing guide. So the RVA has done some work for you. If you're doing Bookshark, you could totally start September 10th, follow the schedule. Oop, where did it go? And end May 20th, okay, for your required work. That's totally something that you could do. Again, with moving beyond the page, you've got your different concepts here. So if this is something that you would like to do, absolutely, the RVA has done that work for you. For the next couple of minutes, I'm going to talk for some families who maybe want to make your own plan, because that's one of the perks of being in the RVA, right? Is that you can have a completely flexible schedule. I can give you a quick copy here. There you go. There's a link to the pacing guide. So like I said, if that's something you're interested in, definitely it's already done for you. You can just follow this. If you want to completely make your own schedule and have a completely customized schedule for you and your kids, I'm going to show you how to do that. If this is something that you're like, nope, I'm just going to follow what the RVA has, that's great. Maybe get a cup of coffee, or maybe not because it's like 7 o'clock, but or like get a drink of water. Don't worry, chill out for the next few minutes. I am going to talk about how to do that if that's something you're interested in for those people who want that completely customized schedule. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to do if you want your very own schedule is you really need to think about your big picture items. What do you want to do for the whole year? Okay. And things that you want to think about, this is where I'm going to talk about this mission statement. One thing that I do that was really helpful, I actually heard it on a homeschool podcast. And I was like, you know what? That's silly. I'm not going to do that. Like, I don't need a mission statement. I'm just going to do whatever I want. They're my kids. And then I had this terrible day with my kids. And I think all of us were crying. It was just one of those days where it was just not a good day for any of us. And I said, you know what? Let me just try this. They talked about it in this podcast. I'm at this kind of low place. I'm struggling today. Let me just do it. They said it'll help. I'll try anything at this point. Let me try it. So I made a homeschool mission statement. And it was one of the best things I ever did. It really helps to give a vision and a purpose to your homeschool. It helps you really concentrate and focus on what is important and what is not. So on those hard days, you can think to yourself, is this part of our vision? Is this part of our mission in our family, how we want our days to go? If it's not, you know what, do something else. And knowing that in my mind, what I want our days to look like really helps me on those days where they're not looking like that, to think to myself, you know what, we just need to take a break, or we need to do something else, or maybe to switch gears in my own head so that I can help my children also learn to switch gears, because sometimes, it takes a mental shift for everybody. And it'll also help you guide your decisions as you navigate the year. So some ideas here, some things to think about. What do you want the end result of your homeschooling journey to look like? Maybe you're only going to plan to be in the RVA for 1 year. So, your goal for that would be at the end of the year, you want your kids to join a brick and mortar school, or maybe you're going to go all the way to graduation. So, you're going to have different goals depending on what your end result is. What inspired your decision to homeschool? Why did you join the RVA? And why do you continue to make this decision for those of you who are not brand new to the RVA? What is the purpose or value of homeschooling? Okay, why is this a valuable thing in your life? What do you want your children to say about their homeschooling experience once they graduate, right? If you're going to go all the way towards graduation. And what constitutes true homeschooling success when it's all said and done? So what makes homeschooling successful? Okay. And also, how do your family values and your family culture influence your homeschool vision? So think about those things. If that's something you're interested in, making a homeschool mission statement, like I said, it was really beneficial for us and our family. I included what our homeschool mission is down here. Ours is that it's our goal in our homeschool that our children will have a love of learning that will help them grow intellectually and give them confidence so that they have all of the tools that they need to succeed in their chosen careers. As a family, we want to share our curiosity as we learn and grow together. And we want to enjoy our time together and welcome each day with an open heart for each other. So that's our homeschool mission statement. And like I said, there are days when it's not happening, right? Where we're not enjoying our time together. And I need to say, you know what? We're going to take a couple of hours. We're going to have a break. Why don't everybody go read a book, do something you enjoy, and let's come back together and we'll work on school then. So sometimes having that vision or that goal of what you want your homeschool to look like, it really helps you when things kind of go awry, which happens sometimes. And you know what? It also really helps on days where things are like awesome and amazing. And you're like, yes, this is exactly my vision for our homeschool. This is what I wanted. So, it just makes the good days awesomer, if that's not a word, but it makes them better. And it makes the hard days a little bit more manageable also. Oh, better for allergies. I see. Yeah. Cool. Food allergies. Okay. So the next step, if you want to make your own schedule, is that you need to think about your students' strengths and areas of improvement. That helps you make goals for this year, which is going to drive which days you do school and things like that. It's going to help you focus on what you want to do and things like that. This is what I did for my daughter a couple of years ago. Some things that I thought she did really well at, and some things I thought she needed to improve. And she actually helped me with this, which I found has been really helpful to go through this with your kids. Like, what are some things that you think you need to work on this year? And I found, at least with my kids, they were pretty honest. They're like, my handwriting was not that great last year. I think that's something I could work on. I was like, well, Yeah, that's a great idea. So bringing your students into that process of thinking about things that they can improve on. And also they really like to go over their strengths. Well, I'm really good at, working independently or whatever. My middle daughter is my independent kid. But really analyzing those can help you focus what you're going to concentrate on for that year. So I found very beneficial as well. And then, of course, something that you would want to do is make a list of any extras that you're going to do, like extracurricular activities. If you're going to do sports, RVA field trips, RVA clubs, any of the things that you're interested in that you're going to do, don't forget to include those in your schedule. So next, after you kind of have your big picture items, you would want to narrow it down to monthly goals, right? So you're going to take the next step would be monthly goals. So think about things like holidays, birthdays, other important days that you're not going to be schooling. And then decide how far into summer you'd like to go. So when are you going to start? When are you going to end? And how many days are you going to take off? And then you're going to divide, right, that number. And that's going to tell you how many days per month that you need to do school. Okay. And then once you figure that out, you can kind of come up with a monthly plan for each kid. Yes, don't forget to take spring break. Don't forget to have random days that come up, right? Like there are just some days where you're like, this isn't happening, right? Let's go to the movies, or let's go play at a park, or let's do something else. Yes. So the RVA is totally fine with whatever schedule you would like. So once you decide your schedule, just let your teacher know so that they're aware of whatever schedule, but you can go year round if you like, or you can break it up. Whatever works for your family is good. Yeah, you definitely can, Michael. I have one daughter who's in only one live class, and she just follows the live calendar, and then we have our own schedule for our other subjects. So from there, once you have your monthly goal, right, you've kind of figured out what all you need to do. You figured out how many days per month you need to do your school. It's from there that you can figure out your weekly and your daily items. Okay, so you're going to start big and work your way down. So depending on your level of organization, right? So this was like my monthly goal over here. If I were to break that down daily, maybe this is what it would look like per kid. But again, it depends on your level of organization, and some curricula have this done for you. Like I said, the RVA has already done this for you. If you're like, no, this is too much, don't do it. Okay. If you like that idea, absolutely do it. If you do Bookshark, they've already got the 4-day schedule in there. Moving Beyond the Page doesn't have like weekly plans, but it does have like 12 days of lessons for that unit or something like that. So then you would need to decide what days you're going to do those 12 days. Okay. And same for Little Lincoln. It's not exactly like laid out for you. So you do need to decide what day you're going to do those days. All right. Are there any questions about how you were to make your own schedule if you wanted to? Yes, they have the 4-day option. Oh, Moving Beyond the Page has on their website. Really? That's new to me. I did not know that. I hope I'm saying that. Woolful Family? I don't know if I'm saying that right. I hope I am. Apparently, Moving Beyond the Page on their website has a 4-day option. So if you're doing Moving Beyond the Page and you're interested in a 4-day option, you might want to look at that.
I hate to just shout out, but I have a question instead of typing it.
No, totally.
So if she has the one live class, I guess my concern is I decide to, we want to go to the Dells or something for 3 days and she misses those 3 live classes. Is that an issue? We just talk to the teacher, or how do you think would be best to go about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely just talk to your teacher. It shouldn't be a problem, as long as she's there for the majority of them. And if there is a question that she has, all of the lessons will be recorded. So she would be able to go back and look at those recordings, if she would need to. So it really shouldn't be a problem. But the main thing would just be communicating with that teacher so that they know.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Wolfell. Oh, good. I got it. Oh, good. The Radisco family, you're going to do the 4-day option too. Oh, there it is. Look at you guys are awesome. I'm going to actually keep that. I'm going to pull it up here. I'm going to keep that for myself because that's great. I'm glad to know that. I didn't know that. All right, good. Okay, the next big question is, oh my gosh, this is so much work. Do we have to do it all? Because I know some of the curriculum, it's a lot, right? You have so many lessons and so many things. And the answer is no. Don't feel like you have to do everything. It is okay to pull out those major concepts or those things that you think are really important for your child to learn and maybe not do some of the extra worksheets. I know if you're doing moving beyond the page, you have some different options. Feel free to choose the easier option if you think your kids need that day. That's totally fine. In a lot of the younger grades, there's a lot of like cutting out these little squares and then pasting them. And if your kid is not having it that day, just have them draw like a line to their thing. As long as they're meeting the learning objective of that page, it doesn't really matter how they do it, right? They can do it any which way that they want to. So don't feel like you have to do everything, but do try to meet those learning objectives for the day. Okay, but feel free to modify some things here and there. That should be totally fine. And if you're really you have some problems, you feel like your school is taking you much longer than it should or something like that, just talk to your RVA teacher and they can help work you through some of these issues and maybe come up with a customized plan for your family for whatever works for you guys. Okay. Oh, that's great. I wish that I had a little bit more ideas for logic of English. That's one of the only ones that I've not used. It sounds like the Wolfell family is offering some advice. Otherwise, I would suggest maybe just talking with your teacher about how overwhelming it is. And like I said, coming up with that plan for something that would work for your family. So maybe talking about what it is that's overwhelming for you. And then, let your teacher help you work through that. That's what we're all here for. I have some other suggestions. Maybe try giving even or odd math problems. So maybe those math worksheets are really hard to get to. You know what? Let them do just the odd problems that day if they're struggling, okay, or just the even ones. Sometimes I allow my kids to tell me the answers orally instead of writing them all down, because sometimes that writing component can really get in the way of just talking about what you're supposed to talk about, right? Those learning objectives. So feel free to let them tell you the answer, right? The whole the whole objective is that you're going through that together. So, sometimes having them tell you those answers is just as good, if not better, than writing them down. Some subjects in your curriculum may be optional, especially in those early grades. Like I know my daughter who just started the pre-K, she had to like glue on these like pieces of yarn to this musk ox. And it took her forever. And I'm like, this is just not. So if you're having like a yarn issue with your musk ox, just, don't do it. Okay. Have her practice her fine motor skills in another way. Okay. If that works better for you. And like I said, some activities are on the craftier side. So feel free to modify those. If your kid is not a crafty kid, that's totally fine. And if you're experiencing frustration, definitely talk to your teacher. Get some advice, we can make that customizable for your family. We can talk about what works for you. You guys should not be feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. That's not what the RVA wants. So definitely talk to your teachers and check in if you're feeling that way. And remember that mastery is key. What we want from children is to master. Once they know the material, feel free to move on. Okay. I think here, no, we don't want any busy work. Don't make your kids do busy work unless they really like worksheets. Some kids are worksheet kids, but if they're not, don't make them do it. Okay, they don't have to. Another thing that I wanted to mention is to not forget about community service. If you are going to do your own schedule, that would be something that you might want to write into there. They do need 8 hours of community service, but broken up throughout the year, it makes it a lot more manageable. But it is something that's really good to just kind of keep in the back of your mind and maybe just jot down, my kid helped the neighbor pick up sticks for 30 minutes. Definitely community service. Okay. So you can jot those things down so you don't forget them throughout the year. Because I bet all kids, do a little bit of community service, especially things like that. So don't forget that those can be some easy things. Oh, fleece tie blanket to donate. Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, exactly, Angie. Anything that's not a home chore for them definitely counts as community service. But just keep that in the back of your mind so that you don't get to the end of the year and then you're like, I don't think they did anything, because I'm sure that they did. So just, keep an eye on that, and you can write those down throughout the year. Yes. Grade 1 student is required to do community service. All students are. Even like I said, my 4-year-old, she's going to do community service. I have them help out the neighbors a lot. They'll at Christmas time, they'll bake cookies for the neighbors. I have them like pick up sticks and help with yard work and things like that. So, there's always something that they can do. Oh, it's going to look so different. Yep. Lots of learning, right? For the parents and for the kiddos, for sure. All right. Another one that I wanted to briefly touch on is motivation, right? How do we keep our kids motivated? I have a couple of ideas for that. It would be ideal if we were all just intrinsically motivated, right? Our kids and us, for that matter, for everything that we did, but it's not always the case. So some tips: incentivize, make sure that they're attainable, timely, and age appropriate. But all kids like incentives. Don't make them so far out of reach that a student isn't able to meet them, especially at those young age. It might look something like, hey, let's do this worksheet, and then we can go outside and take a walk for a little while. Okay, so sometimes incentives can look like that. It doesn't always have to be candy or something like that. Also give a time frame. It can be weekly or monthly for some of those older kids, or, for some of the younger kids, it can be minutes. We're going to sit here for 3 minutes and we're going to concentrate on this paper, and then we're going to do something else. You can use an actual timer with younger students. I've done that with my kids before. And an incentive, like I said, that's a month away might be good for older kids. It just kind of depends. Here are some examples that have been used in the past by RVA families. If your child finishes all of their math or whatever subject within the time allotted, then they get 15 minutes to do their favorite activity, and then we're going to come back together and we're going to keep working on our schoolwork. Another one is if your child gets a whole lesson completed during the day, they're cooperative, they have a good attitude. That's the hope, right? They can have a ticket, and then they can redeem that for, something, an activity or an object or whatever, or a marble, whatever it is, you give them a reward, they fill up the jar, they get something. That has been used by RVA families. If students can get all their lessons completed by lunchtime on Friday, maybe you could have like a Friday family fun day or something like that, where you go for a picnic, you go to the park, you bake cookies, watch a movie, whatever, but you just do something fun as a family if you can collectively come and get all of your work done, and really just enjoy each other at the end of a week, after working for so long. And I have some other ideas, chalkboard or whiteboard. This one has been strangely good for my children when they struggle with math. If they're like doing it on their math paper and they're really struggling and they just don't want to do any more problems for whatever reason, if I hand them a whiteboard, they seem more motivated. Oh, I get to do it on a whiteboard and stuff. Or I have like a big roll of like butcher paper, and sometimes I'll write their math problems really big. And so they're doing like huge math problem. They think that was really fun. But like doing their problems in places other than like a traditional worksheet can be a little motivating sometimes. Oh, another one we did that was really fun that my kids loved is I got like the window markers and I let them do their math problems on the window ones. Oh yeah, outside with chalk. I like that too. Yeah, that's really fun. So that was a really good way. The window markers, at least for my family, gave me like 3 weeks of like solid math work. It was great. Now it's kind of a thing. Now they think that's just what we do all the time. But board games are another really fun way to go over, some of those concepts. Special family dinners to celebrate achievements, like especially at the end of the year or after we finish a unit. Those are kind of fun. I know if you're doing Moving Beyond the Page, some of them have family dinners like right in there. I know, I think it's the 8 to 10, you have to do the Little House on the Prairie book. And they have to do like a pioneer night where they like cook dinner and everything. So some of that is even written right into the curriculum. Yeah, Some Swamp is awesome, isn't it? I love that game. Sometimes random pajama or movie days. That's why I put extra days into our schedule, is so that some days when they're not expecting it, they like get up and they get ready and I'm like, nope, movie, or, whatever it is we're going to do. Just switching it up and keeping things different, especially in those winter months where we all kind of seem to drag. Those are really fun. The boogie board, I have that. That's kind of like the chalkboard or the whiteboard. That can be a fun way to get them to do some problems. Yep, I can definitely send out. I saw a direct message asking to email the slideshow, and I'll definitely do that. And at the end, I just want to let you guys know that you've got this, right? At the end of the day, the most overwhelming key to a child's success is the positive involvement of the parents. Just the fact that you're here, you've enrolled your kids in the RVA, you guys are going to do great, and your kids are going to do great as well. Okay, so what I'd like to quickly do here at the end is to reference this idea, share, and questions. If you didn't get a chance to fill out any questions you have or any ideas, go ahead and fill that out now. Let me hand out the link again. And we can go through some of these. Yeah, that'd be really cool if we could just keep it like a living, breathing document even, and just, keep adding ideas as the year goes on. That'd be neat. So we can go through some of these. So some ideas that people have shared is make a daily schedule and also have a homework planner filled out daily. Don't stress, the teachers will help you. That's so true. And breathe, it gets easier. That's some great advice. Good job for whoever shared that. I agree. I also do the homework planner, like the RVA planner, and I list out what the kids need to do every day. Just as once your kids can read, I guess. My youngest can't read, so it was pointless. But it's really good for them to be a little bit more motivated, and they can kind of work on their schedule or on their checklist. I love this idea, headsets for multiple kids in the same room. That is something I learned last year when I had that, right? Remember to take breaks from the screen. Great advice. Kids definitely need adults too, right? We all need some breaks. Oh, and I love this one. And I should have mentioned this. We do a soft start, so you don't start with everything at once. Last year, we were waiting for curriculum, so we started with math almost a month before our other curriculum. This year, we did about 2 weeks of moving beyond the page and then added it in. Kids feel like they get an easy week and they have the rest of their day free. That's a really good advice. And this is actually something that we do in my family too, is we'll start with like our easier subjects and then we'll kind of add in. So maybe for us, we do it like a couple of days. We'll get into our schedule, going over the rules and the expectations, what I expect from them, what they can expect from me. We also do, some special celebration. They like decorate their desk a little bit. We kind of start with all of those things. And then after a couple of days, we sort of scaffold and lead into those full days of school. And that seems to go a little bit easier. Is that it? I think that's it. Great advice for those of you who shared some ideas, and thank you for that. Questions. How do we turn the kids' work to the school? So that is a great question. There are a couple of different ways that you can do that. Your teacher should share with you a folder in Google Drive. You're welcome to submit them in Google Drive, or if you would prefer to use the mail, you can request from your teacher that you get some stamped envelopes. The RVA will send them to you, and all you have to do is put your kids' work into an envelope and it'll go right to your teacher and they can look at it that way. So whichever one is easier for you. I think it's a little bit easier to just take pictures on my phone, and I have the Google Drive app on my phone and I can just upload them right there. So it's easier for me. I feel like it's less time. So that's what I do. What typing program do I use? That's a great question. I actually do not use, personally, I don't use an RVA program for that. I do keyboarding without tears, but there's lots of free programs as well as a typing club in the RVA. I think, Angie shared some, typingclub.com, nitrotype, typing.com, all sorts of things you can do. And like I said, there's also some RVA clubs that revolve around typing also, so that kids are getting those skills. Oh, I added some in the chat. Perfect. How to join clubs? That's a great question too. Here pretty soon, once school kind of gets going, I think for the RVA online students, they'll be sending out some emails telling you about all the different clubs that students can join. But basically, a lot of them you just kind of show up to. If you're really interested in joining and there's a sign up, the teacher will be sending out emails. So just keep checking your RVA email, and no matter what, you'll either find clubs that you can just pop into or clubs that you need to sign up for too, but just keep an eye on that. Yes, you can definitely stop a club anytime you like. And they're like super stress-free. It's supposed to be something that's, fun for both you and the kids. And if they're not fun and they're becoming stressful, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Everyone will understand. Link is in the chat. Oh, perfect. Any other questions or advice? I'll give a minute to do that. All right. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for coming. I hope that I had some helpful hints for you guys. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to meet with you guys, or feel free to reach out to, to your teacher. I'm sure that they'll have some ideas as well. Oh, I saw one more. Can you share some more community services? Yes. So for sure, there's going to be RVA events that are going to deal specifically with community service. So definitely keep an eye out on there. I've had my kids make cards. So my husband works at a hospital, and I've had them make cards for patients before. I've had them make, I think one year they made Christmas ornaments for a nursing home. One time, or almost every year, they make all sorts of goodies for our neighbors. We have an older couple who lives next door, so I send them over there all the time with stuff. And that definitely counts as community service. Every spring and fall, they help the neighbors with spring pickups. So they'll go pick up their sticks and stuff, or, whatever is age appropriate. Let's see, what else have I had them do? Oh, they play piano. I've had them play. They've played for the nursing home before. We did cards and we did piano once. Yeah, I think those are some of the things that we've done throughout the years. The biggest one that I have, at least my kids do, is help the neighbors, because they legitimately need help. And so it counts as community service too. Magnetic fishing. I don't know about that one. Possibly. I'm so glad that this was helpful. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, just send me an email or reach out to your RVA teacher. We are all here to help you guys. We don't want you to feel overwhelmed or stressed out. We want this to be, an amazing experience. Becoming a part of the RVA family was, for me, the best thing that I've done for our family. It's just a wonderful place to be. And so I hope that you guys love it as much as I do. And like I said, just reach out if you have any questions, or you'd like for me to help with anything.
Thank you so much, Laura, for this insight and these tips, and for everybody who participated in the chat. It's a community. We're a home mentor community, and there's more to come. I'm going to just share here. Let's see here. I'm just going to do a quick spotlight here just to show you where you can find this information. And you should be able to see, let's see here. I think you can see this now. If you look on the activities page here, you can find out that there are Mentor Network programs here, I believe on the 7th. And then there's another network mentor series on the 9th. That elementary, middle school online activities, this is where you would go to find out clubs, and those links are becoming live. When you go into this, you'll be able to see all the things that are up and on the and coming. You can check in there. Also here you can find the Mentor Series library, where this recording will be stored, as well as the link to the slide deck, as well as the ideas, tips, and shares. So everything's right underneath activities for a lot of this information to be accessed. If you have any questions too, you can shoot me an email. I can help you with that. And thanks for everyone for coming. It was great to be here with you all. What a great turnout. Have a great night, everybody.
Have a good night.